back to another episode of the Drafted Pages podcast with your host, Nick Krasinski. Another fun episode today. Got my boy Cam here from Dallas in community group together. Been one of my better friends here since moving here a year ago. So with that, Cam, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Tell them who you are.
For sure. What's going on, everybody? My name is Cameron Chishti. I feel like I'm going to give like a business proposal right here, like I'm networking or something. No, but yeah, 23 years young. Been in Dallas my entire life. Nick is one of my better friends here as well. I have a lot of friends here, but I feel like Nick is one of my true friends, authentic believers that just makes me a better man. So very thankful for our friendship. But graduated from UT Dallas, go Comets, last spring, and have been working at PwC ever since. I'm a cybersecurity consultant, approaching my 1 year mark in August. And yeah, been here, Cowboys fan with my boy Nick as well. But yeah, huge Dallas sports fan. Love basketball, football, love doing athletic things. Me and Nick play spike ball all the time. Volleyball, whatever it is. Enjoy being outside. So yeah, it's a little intro about myself.
Love it. Love it. Speaking of Cowboys and work, you were just at the Star, right? On Friday for a little work event. How was that?
I was at the
Star.
Star.
Talk to you about that.
Yeah, man, it was a blast. Rented out the entire field, and there's just a bunch of stuff. There was raffles with like crazy prizes. It was like one of those walking treadmills, you know?
No way.
There was like a $1,000 American Airlines gift card, $1,000 Amazon gift card,
Yo.
A 4-day game pass to a Cowboys game.
What?
But yeah, dude, no, like the prizes were crazy.
Just for a work event?
Just for a work event. But yeah, super thankful, man. I'm had some really good food as well, a lot of games, and yeah, just like some of my closest friends, we just squatted up, and it was a great time.
Dude, that's unreal. I need to, I love my employer, but it'd be cool if they had something like that too, you know?
Yeah,
like,
hey, referral coming soon.
yeah, facts. No, I have a question. I have multiple questions, but this is kind of like maybe a hot take. So I was driving back from church today, and I saw like this car, and they have that license plate, like custom license plate, where it has like the 3 initials and the other 3 initials. Do you think that's dumb? Do you think that's kind of sweet? Because I think it's the stupidest thing ever.
I think it depends.
Okay.
I think it depends on what is on the license plate, because if you're customizing it and you put something like good girl, or something like stuff like that, like I'm like, why are you spending money on that? But if it's actually something meaningful, then I think it's all right.
Yeah, I don't have anything against that. It's the initials. It's the initials license plate.
Like what?
Where it just has like 3 letters.
Yeah.
And then like a space, and then another 3 letters. Like it's clearly like a husband and wife or like couple, and those are their initials because the last letter is always the same, right? Because same last name. But yeah, dude, I think that's.
I wouldn't do that. Ever.
I hate that so much. It's like that bothers me just as much as the family tree stickers on the cars, or when people don't have any kids, it's like 4 dogs, like 2 cats on there, like.
I forgot about those stickers.
What are you doing?
Does your family ever have those stickers?
No.
Okay.
Thank gosh. No, not in our family. Are you kidding me? If my mom put that on her car, I'd be, Mom, we're taking this off right now.
You gotta take it off.
Yeah, that is.
I've seen that. Sometimes it's cool seeing like how big people's families are, but yeah, it's just like I've never seen like a couple and then just like 4 animals or something. So that's funny.
Yeah, dude, I ain't about that. I ain't about that at all. So in the world right now, Ocean Gate. What are your thoughts on? I mean, now while we're filming this, right? We know it's gone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, pieces.
No way, no way.
I mean, listen, I never like to hear that humans lose their life, no matter how it is. It sucks. I feel bad for those families. Obviously, it's going to be a long grieving process, but you do stupid things. Stupid things are. You're going to get stupid consequences. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I just think, getting into a very compacted tin can with a PS2 controller as the remote,
crazy.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot more better ways to spend your money, and these are billionaires we're talking about, so it's not like they're dumb people. So I don't know. What are your kind of thoughts on how all of that went down, and do you think it's one of those like look over here while other stuff goes on in the world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, yeah, like you said, rest in peace to all those people. Um, I know it's not easy for their families and stuff, so prayers go out to them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there would definitely be more preparation or, you know, just more research being done on this submarine before actually going in it. Didn't seem like I heard like news pieces of maybe it being like a prototype or not it, being fully tested. And so I was like just like looking at that, and I was like, why would you do anything like that if it's not like official, like good to go? And so, and spending $250,000, which is probably nothing for them,
For them, yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy to read that as just like a middle class man, just like being like, oh my gosh, like 250K. But yeah, I don't know. The PS2 controller was crazy as well. Like I saw like so many like bad memes of like controller disconnected. And I was like, no way. Whenever it pops up on your screen,
Yes.
I was like, no way. But yeah, that was like, out of all the ways to control a submarine, like, why a PS2 controller? Why not PS5 at least?
Yeah, just get the most recent upgrade of what you're using.
So that was weird, but I don't know. I think there's definitely, some underlying maybe reason as to what happened that, maybe the media just doesn't want to cover. Maybe withholding some information, or like you were saying, trying to make the people just focus on that while other stuff's happening in the background. It's interesting. Conspiracy theories are always fun, but I'm sure there's some other stuff that we don't know, like always with media. So
The thing I don't get about that is like, why would you? I mean, to them that money's nothing, but right? Why would you go into that when you can't? You're not even seeing the Titanic. Like they were gonna look through a screen,
yeah,
and look at the Titanic. Like just rent the movie. And you get the same experience.
You didn't even have to rent it. It's coming on Netflix. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They're adding it on Netflix,
Yep.
which is also just so horrible of them.
No, Netflix, in their brilliant media campaigns and strategies, is like they definitely have tons of content like this. I've actually talked about this for work in like media, like consulting space, and talking about different platforms and different companies that can do this. It's like actually having pre-made content or knowing where certain content is, so when something tragic happens, right, like an actor passes away suddenly, like Chadwick Boseman, right,
Mhm.
and then all his movies are all over the place,
Yeah.
like everybody's scrambling to get them, right, they're all coming out, right. I think Netflix has like they have all this information and all of that categorized, and they have it ready to go. So when stuff like this happens, it's relevant. People want to watch about it. People want to hear about it, and drives up numbers. And from a business standpoint, it's smart. But yeah,
it is smart.
Timing. I mean, there isn't much sensitivity when it comes to big business.
Yeah,
for tragic events usually.
Very true.
Yeah, interesting time we're in with all of that.
I know, man.
Transitioning to, I guess, some more faith-based stuff.
Yeah.
You're a taken man. Right,
I'm a taken man.
Living that life of dating in Dallas. How's that been for you?
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, man. Shout out my girlfriend Nunma. Quick little plug right there. But yeah, man, it's been good. Hitting our 6-month mark, July 15th. But it's been great.
He knows the date.
I know the date. I have everything. I can't miss it. But yeah, man. Very blessed for sure. You hear all the stereotypes of dating, and especially dating in Dallas, I'm sure moving here, but it's very superficial, especially just like going out and stuff, just the standards that the world's put on dating, the mentality that people have built around it. It's very toxic, nothing authentic about it. And so, yeah, very blessed, man, to have a girl like her in my life. She's great. She pushes me to be a better man, and especially spiritually in faith. She's a person that I can count on, and just lifts me up by using like scripture, always sending me verses, sermons, anything that stands out to her. So yeah, very grateful for that, man. It's been a great 6 months, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun, and it's only been 6 months, which is crazy because it seems like it's been a lot longer. But excited to see where the rest of the year and rest of our lives take us.
Yeah,
It's exciting stuff.
it's been cool to watch you and Numma's like relationship grow. I remember back in the end of March when we took that trip to Houston. This man, we would go out to the gym at Alpha Land and come back, or go out for dinner and come back, and this man would be up on his phone. It's like 2 a.m. He's FaceTiming his girlfriend, just like chatting with her, getting able to catch up, like doing your thing. Like, man, that's the type of love and dedication that you bring to relationship, and it's clearly like paid off. It's been really cool.
Yeah, man.
Additionally, like in our community group, when we share how we're feeding others in faith, I think always, almost every single time you talk about you and Numma swapping scriptures back and forth, reading the Bible together, reading the same passages and kind of discussing that. And I think that's such a healthy, standard to have in a Christian relationship, right? And it's just setting the goals, setting the boundaries, setting the level of where you guys want to go for the future, or just any future relationship in general, right? Like getting into the Word and encouraging each other. Like you do that now when you guys are just a couple, and then like if you get married, then that's around you. That's a part of your everyday routine. Your kids are gonna see that. They're gonna be wanting to get involved in that and read the Bible and be around you guys for that. So that's just like an amazing testament to the two of you and just leading into God in that aspect.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, I appreciate that as well. It's always good, and something that not that I've realized recently, but just putting Christ at the center of a relationship, as difficult as it is, how like fruitful it can be to just see like what life can look like whenever you put God in the center of a relationship. And that's not even romantically, that's for friendships as well. Those are the ones that always last, the ones that are the most authentic, the ones that are the most loving, most loyal, And so, yeah, for any relationship, putting Christ at the center those are the people that I'm the closest to. And, Nunma, my girlfriend, you, Vasco, Corbin, our community group, like those are examples of that.
Yeah, that's so well said. A lot of key things that can translate when putting God at the center, and like things that you do, things you should be doing, you just including someone else more in a romantic side of things, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think has been your biggest struggle, either for the two of you or you personally, trying to, walk with God through this relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest struggle for myself has just been shifting my mentality to what does Cameron want? What is Cameron thinking about? What does Cameron need? To more of a selfish to a more selfless mentality of being like, hey, like, although I do think about myself often, like, how does Nunma feel in this setting, in this conversation? What does she need more of from me, rather than trying to, justify my actions, which, still struggle with, but trying to get better of being like, okay, like, she must feel this way for a reason, and trying to just think more about her rather than about myself. So I think that's been a struggle, but also something that we both have been learning together. And there's been our ups and downs, but it's been good getting to learn that together, getting to learn, just what we need from each other as a new couple. And it's a learning curve, and we understand that. But, one of the biggest points that we make after each argument or disagreement that we get into is like, hey, like, we're having this, but like, let's have this like argument for like a purpose. And that purpose is going to be, what did we learn and how can we apply this into our next conversation so that we don't make the same mistake again? And so having meaning and purpose behind your arguments, I think that's like a big thing that I've learned as well.
That is so like wise and mature for your age and your stage in the relationship to notice like, okay, like that's the thing with the relationships, whether it's friendship or romantic. It's like fundamentally you're two different humans who have two different perspectives on the world, two different upbringings. Like there's gonna be clash. I mean, there's clash in siblings, and right, and we're
Mm-hmm.
basically all raised the same way. So to be able to like have that maturity and awareness with the two of you to sit down and be like, okay, like we're not getting along right now. We're having this difficult conversation, argument, and we need to figure out, okay, it's happening for a reason. Why is it happening? How can we go about this better in the future so we can either avoid it and not let it be a reoccurring argument, or change something maybe about us or the relationship to help it flourish better. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's amazing. So with dating, right, in Dallas, I feel like there's a lot of, at least in a Christian way, right? There's a lot of different ways the world says to live or things that might be acceptable. And one thing for me that I've like not necessarily struggled with, but just found an interesting topic, an interesting point of conversation. And I think Vasco and I talked about this as well. Where do you draw the line for you personally in having friends of the opposite sex and engaging with them via either text message or like hanging out one on one or things like
Mm-hmm.
that? Like, where do you kind of draw that line? And maybe you and Numa have had conversations about this. So I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, and so just to reiterate, just like having friends of the opposite sex while you're in a relationship. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so two of my closest friends are of the opposite sex, and I've been friends with them all throughout college. Me, Vasco, and them two were two of our closest friends, and they still are. And obviously, being in a relationship, your boundaries with them and the way that you interact with them change. And I think that it has to change if you get into a relationship. And not to say like change in a bad way, but it's just going to be different. Um, and yeah, there's just going to have to be some boundaries drawn. Um, and for me personally, I still consider them some of my close friends. I know that they feel the same way about me, but I can't like FaceTime them every night or talk to them as often you know, as we used to.
Yeah.
And that's just because being in a relationship now, it's going to be different. And that's just something that I've, had to adjust to. And yeah, I think it's also good to be honest with them as well, of being like, hey, like, y'all are some of my closest friends still, and y'all mean a lot to me, but being in a relationship now, things between us are gonna look different, and that's okay. I don't want to treat y'all any differently. Like, I want y'all to know that y'all are still my close friends, and I still care about y'all a lot. But things are just gonna be different, and so just having conversations with both sides, making sure your significant other is also comfortable. I think that's like also a very big deal, and I think that is the most important thing, because you want to make sure your partner is comfortable. And so doing anything um, that is in your power that you can do to make them feel comfortable, um, while at the same time also communicating to your friends as well of the opposite sex, um, so that there's that two-way communication, that one side isn't getting left out. So I would say communication is the most important thing in that, and making sure that one, you're making your partner comfortable, and two, you're not just throwing your friends to the side, but just establishing boundaries, healthy boundaries, where both sides can be um, comfortable and happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that, again, so well said, right? Like communication is such a fundamental part of humans, right? And I mean, I was an undergrad communications major, so I know a lot ins and outs and the science behind it. And it's like the way my professor described it when I first started taking it, it's like, okay, everything with communication starts with the sender, right? The person who's trying to communicate has a message, right, in their head, and they're trying to send that message to you, the receiver, and then you have to interpret that message. And it's so easy. I mean, miscommunication happens all the time, right? And whenever that message gets misinterpreted, it's on the sender's part. It's never on the receiver's part, because clearly the sender didn't do a good enough job of explaining it properly to the right audience, using the right language, things like that. So yeah, that is just so critical in any stage, right? Communication and including your partner in those conversations, right? You want to have those healthy, open conversations about things that might be difficult. And you're going to have even more difficult conversations as the relationship grows, right? You start making harder decisions. You get married. Okay, do you want to? Hopefully, you've already discussed if you want to have kids, but you know, unexpected things might happen, and then tragedy, and then schooling, and where to want to live, and all of this, and whose parents are going to be closer to, right?
Yep.
Like lots
Yeah.
of hard conversations.
Yeah. Then I'd like to hear your point of view, in how you navigated that in your past relationships. If you had, friends of the opposite sex while you were in a relationship, and um, yeah, how you just navigated that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me, that was probably one of the biggest issues in my last relationship because some of my closest friends were female, just growing up from high school and things like that. And it definitely ruffled some feathers in my last relationship. And I didn't have the maturity, the wisdom, nor the real understanding of like the problems with that, right? If you remain super close with them and don't, like you said, don't change the way you interact with them, don't change how, not necessarily change how you treat them, right? You're still going to treat them with the same love and kindness.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be like, as outgoing and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely was a problem because I didn't change in that way. I didn't make those adjustments. And then when it was brought up by my girlfriend at that time, certain things she needed, certain things that she like wanted me to change in the way I would interact with certain people, or even to a certain point, like because it was such a problem, like she wanted me to cut one person out. And I like did everything I could, like removed on social media, like I don't engage with, I maybe see like once or twice a year when we're like all back together, like all my high school friends were at like, someone's house, or we go out for dinner or something like that. I might say like 10 words, right? I don't interact with them ever, but it wasn't really good enough, and it kind of like was a huge like I don't know thorn in our relationship. I wouldn't say it's the reason we drove apart, but I mean definitely was an issue, and it kind of lasted throughout all that time. And if I could go back, obviously I would do a lot of things differently, but that's part of learning, it's part of life. You grow, you learn along the way, and it's taught me that importance of the boundaries and setting those clear lines and being able to like speaking to other people about that, right? Like how important that is. Like, hey, I had this brought up to me in my past relationship. I didn't do what XYZ, what we're commanded to do, what we should do, and set that boundary. And this is what the result was. And it wasn't great. And it created a lot of problems. So here's my advice as somebody who's walked that path before. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think you would do differently, if you don't mind sharing?
I mean, I think that's a tough question because it's so long ago. But I think the easiest thing to do would have just been like listen to my partner and just be like, okay, like, I mean, we've had this conversation in community. Like if you're in a relationship, whether it's a couple months or a couple years, right? If this is someone, or even you're married, right? Like if there's someone you really care about and love, and if you're dating, like you see a future with, and you're dating to marry, hopefully, right? You got to have that mentality that it's us against the world, right? And a lot of time, I mean, the relationships, you're going to have compromises. You're going to have disagreements. There's going to be times where you got to agree to disagree, right? But when certain things like that, when it has to deal with interacting with somebody from the opposite sex that your partner has a problem with, right? Or even if it's just one of your homies, like what if like, obviously not me, Roscoe, Corbett, we're really stand-up guys, but what if we were really rude to Numba? Like just, not Christian-like, like very rude, like insulting, would say stuff about her, like, and she had a problem with us, but we've been friends for 10 years, like he's my boy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the person you gotta like, unfortunately, like cut out, like, and not have around if this is the girl you want to be with, right? This is something that she's asking. And hopefully if you were to ask the same thing, she would do the same thing right back, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, and understanding that, right? And it doesn't mean you have to play even, right? It doesn't mean you have to go back and forth and be like, all right, I cut this person out, you got to cut this person, right? But yeah, that's the biggest thing. If I were to go back and do something differently, I definitely would have just listened to my partner and been like, okay, like, you know what? You aren't comfortable with this person in my life anymore. Done. Like, cut her out completely, block number, never going to interact with her. If I go home and I know she's going to be somewhere with like all my friends, I just won't go. Because like, you mean that much to me. This relationship means that much to me. Like, I want to respect you and respect this relationship because I hope that you would do the same for me. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good stuff, bro. And I think, yeah, listening, that's the biggest thing. And I think naturally there's going to be a shifting of priorities, whereas in college, before your relationship or, yeah, just pre-relationship, you're going to be like, it's all about me and my friends, making memories with them, doing A, B, and C with them. I love my friends. We're going to have a great time. We're going to go do this and that, right? Whenever you get in a relationship, like naturally, your priorities are going to shift to me and my friends to me and my significant other, and that's just how it's going to be. And I don't think it's a bad thing at all, but that's just, I think, the way that it goes and the way that I've handled it so far. And yeah, I just think listening to your partner and making sure they're comfortable in the relationship is huge. And then actually acting on, if they do have any feedback or if they, do say things that might make them uncomfortable, like, okay, like what am I going to do about it now that I know of this information, So I agree with you, and I think that's really good stuff right there.
yeah, I mean, listening is half of communication. I think so often in society, right, we're listening to respond. We're like listening, okay. Oh, I got a thought. Like, I'm going to wait for them to stop talking, and then I'm going to say my piece.
Yeah.
Right? Just take a minute. Listen. Actually listen to what somebody's trying to communicate with you. Then you can respond to it, right? And it's okay to – I feel like we hate awkward silences, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We use filler words when we're public speaking because we can't take a second to formulate a thought and to conversate, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like last thing on this topic, but just I think whenever you are in disagreement or an argument with your significant other or your friends, and they're giving their piece, telling you their point of view, it's so easy for us to think about a response while they're talking to us, and that's whenever the argument just goes downhill, is because you're like, they're trying to explain their side to you, and the entire time, instead of listening, you're thinking about like, oh, like that's not what I did, like, that didn't happen, like I didn't do this, like, and you're thinking about, okay, like what am I gonna say back after they're done talking? But in reality, like if you just sit there, listen, like take it in, and then respond to them, like that's just like how you do conflict resolution, and that's like how those arguments and disagreements get resolved so much smoother.
Yep.
So
yeah, don't treat it like a debate. Treat it like a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's brilliant, man. I love this. I love it. Transitioning to some sports stuff.
Let's go.
Since you are a Cowboys fan, here in Dallas, we've had some rough goes of it over the past few years, and I think some changes are coming. We don't have Zeke anymore off the team, at least for now.
Poor guy.
He's not signed, right?
He's not signed.
Yeah. Where do you think he's going to end up?
I saw Pittsburgh as a landing location. I don't think anybody wants him, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's so many better running backs out there.
Yep. And it's just become a lower and lower valuable position over the past few years.
Yeah,
unless you're like an athletic elite back. Unless you're like an elite running back like Derrick Henry, which is few and far between anymore. Or an athletic back who can do everything like McCaffrey.
Yep.
Your position isn't really valuable.
Yeah, and you can find those guys in the 5th, 6th round of drafts nowadays, and instead of paying them, 50, 60 mil, it's just like find them in a draft, find them in free agency, even undrafted, like you can find some solid guys. And so, yeah, man, I wish the best for Zeke. He was one of my favorite Cowboys players. But yeah, I mean, we don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
And we signed like a bunch of guys too in the offseason, like Ronald Jones and we drafted Deuce Vaughn, the running back from Kansas State.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like this 5'6" guy. But he was like a tank in college.
Nice.
He does it all. He does receiving, and hopefully he can make it. But yeah, we have a bunch of guys. So I don't think that Zeke's gonna come back.
Do you like the pickups of Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks? Do you think those are what we needed, or do you think they're kind of like passive moves?
I think that they were very aggressive moves, especially considering how we never make moves in free agency.
So true.
We draft well. We draft really well, but we do not do anything in free agency. And I think Stephon Gilmore, especially like our cornerback core, just we have like a really good group of guys. But I feel like at least our 1 and 2 were pretty good, and especially Deron Bland. He's a rookie last year, but popped off. I think he's going to be really good for years to come. Trayvon Diggs, but I think like our third corner, like Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, like those guys were honestly kind of like big holes on the team, and if they were ever in coverage, they would always be targeted by the offense, and they would always get exposed. And so just having one more corner that could just even bring depth, bring some leadership. He's a veteran. I think he could be a really good mentor for Diggs, who's a beast already, like top 5 corner in the league. And yeah, man, I'm really excited for that. So I think he's gonna be really good. And I actually saw like an article last week of like PFF.
Yeah.
Like they released their top 10 corners of like going into the new season, and I think Stephon Gilmore was 5 and Diggs was 7.
Wow.
So he's already higher,
Right.
yeah. So that was interesting. But, dude, I'm super excited for that. Our defense is going to be like the backbone of this team for years to come, And so that was a great move. And, Brandon Cooks, we've needed a player like that for a while. Obviously we have CD. Gallup is coming back from his injury, 2nd year now.
Yep.
He was horrible last season. But yeah, I'm really excited. He's also like another veteran guy, that brings like that leadership and just like a good role model for like some of the younger guys. And yeah, he's just gonna take the top off the defense. Just go deep, chunk it to him. I think he's gonna make like a lot of plays and open up a lot of the field as well for CD and for some of the other receivers too.
Yeah, I loved both those moves. First off, because they were like no risk.
Yeah.
We basically gave up nothing to get them.
Yep.
And like you said, defense is the core of our team.
Yep.
And adding in someone like Gilmore to play on the opposite side of Diggs, like
scary.
That is scary. Like that's going to lock down a lot of offensive threats through the air now, which we needed. I feel like we've always needed help on pass coverage.
For sure.
Think back to like the Brandon Carr days.
Good God.
Like it was
Morris Claiborne.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was just like we have no pass defense whatsoever at all. And now it finally feels like we got that fixed on paper at least. So that'll be nice to see. Hopefully that'll pay off in dividends. And then with Cooks, I mean, ever since we lost Amari Cooper, it was just the offense was never the same.
I really don't remember like watching last season how many deep balls Dak threw. I feel like they were always medium, like max like 20, 25 yards. Obviously there would be occasional deep balls, but like what happened to that,
I feel like Dak, first off, can't throw the deep ball the way other guys can.
Facts.
Like there were I remember at least, I mean, that happens every year, but I remember at least 5 times where CD's open, running down the field, middle of the field too, and Dak either throws it short or long, right? Like not even catchable, can't even lay out for it. And so I think partially that's Dak and knowing your quarterback, but having another speedy guy like Cooks who, like you said, can take the top off the defense, and if anything, takes his corner and the safety out of the play when he's running a post, allows CD to come underneath in one-on-one coverage, right? And if he breaks a tackle, I mean, he can take it to the house. So
expecting a big year from Gallup as well. Obviously he came off like an ACL tear. Last year was really bad. I just think that's natural, I guess, with just that type of injury and coming back from it. But I've heard a lot of reports that he's looking like his pre-injury days in minicamp. But everybody looks like a god in minicamp,
of course.
But still, like, it's good to hear that he's like looking better. And obviously year 2, he's probably recovered more, still getting used to his legs. But yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he's going to have a good year this year.
Yeah, I mean, I love him in the red zone. He reminds me a lot of Des Bryant when they get down there. Just like the jump ball, like throw it up to him. He's got the vertical. He's got the strength. Like, let him go make a play. That's kind of his like weapon. So I feel like we got all 3 types of players, right? You got your like all around guy with CD, right? You can play anywhere, any one of those positions. Cooks is your deep ball threat, and Gallup's your jump ball guy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's nice to have all 3 of those weapons, especially once you get into the red zone.
Yep.
And then hopefully Tony Pollard comes back and returns to form of what he was last year. I mean,
that was so sad.
He was the whole team.
He was.
He was the whole team.
He was. Now, I'm expecting big things from him too. I hope he is able to just get back into shape as well, and hopefully, I'm excited to see maybe some new guys step up. Make some plays. Yeah, man, I'm excited for our defense though. That's gonna be fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. This is I'm giving Dak one last season under McCarthy's offense. We'll see if he can make those passes. It's gonna be pass first offense now.
Yep.
And if he doesn't, then on to better things, Dak.
Yeah. No, I mean, no Kellen Moore either.
Yeah, thank God.
He was just getting predictable, and he had moments of brilliance with the Cowboys when he first was their coordinator. I was like, oh my goodness, like we're creative now. We actually, can run an offense, and then for whatever reason, just changed. So yeah, excited. Are you gonna go to any games?
I have to. Yeah, we should go.
We should.
We're gonna go.
We should get standing room tickets. They're like $40.
Yep. Yep.
Totally worth it. Go anywhere. The stadium's freaking huge.
It's gonna be fun.
So, yeah, I'd be totally down to go to a couple games this year.
We will, bro, and maybe even playoffs. We'll see.
Hey,
we'll see.
Hey, there we go.
Maybe even the Super Bowl.
All right. All right. Well, if the Super Bowl happens, just everybody say your prayers because the doomsday's here. The Cowboys go back to the Super Bowl in our lifetime with Jerry Jones still at the helm. Oh man, it's like one of those things that you kind of joke about. It's like, yeah, will the Cowboys ever make the Super Bowl in my lifetime? And then here I am, 25. I mean, maybe 17 years of actually being a core fan of the Cowboys, and it's like, all right, I've seen 4 playoff wins in my life.
We don't deserve this, man.
No,
we don't deserve this.
It's been brutal. It's been a tough go of things, but. Yeah, I mean, that's life as a Cowboys fan.
Always, man.
Everybody
you
wants
can never
to
get your hopes up. You can never get your hopes up. Everybody hates you. That's fine. I don't care about that. But just everybody are just getting your hopes up. Even last year, 49ers game looked good. Defense was getting stops. Lost to that guy, Mr. Irrelevant.
Brock Purdy.
Man, I forgot his name, honestly, but that was bad. And it also irks me so much that the Eagles are cold.
Dude, that's the hardest
That's the worst part.
Dude, for you, all my friends are Eagles fans are going back home to Philly in enemy territory. Man. My whole life, I'm in a group chat that's literally called Bird Gang. And it started in the football season. It's all my boys, and their boys who are obviously all Eagles fans. Yeah. And then I got added the one time to, I think it was a Cowboys-Eagles game to, talk some smack back and forth. And we're Philly. I'm a Phillies fan, too. So, we talk baseball now. But yeah, it's just when football season rolls around, I have to put that chat on mute, especially when it's Cowboys Eagles, because it's just getting blown up and I'm just being terrorized. So, yeah, it's tough with them being really, really good elite team, and we're just kind of maybe we'll show flashes of brilliance, but it ain't always gonna choke when it matters. So
hold this, Eagles fans. Tough Super Bowl loss. Yeah, I know they're gonna be like, "Oh, you haven't been to the Super Bowl in this long."
Yeah, well,
at least we didn't lose in the Super Bowl. I feel like that stings way worse than making it, getting kicked out in the second round or first round.
Oh yeah, dude. If we make the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be on cloud 9 just that we're there, and then lose, it would suck.
Yeah,
it would absolutely suck.
Dang.
So yeah, I mean, especially getting beat on the same play twice. Bad looks. Where did their defensive coordinator go for a head coaching job?
Who's?
The Eagles. They lost both their coordinators.
Yeah.
I forget where their defensive.
I forgot as well.
But
I lost a bunch of guys.
I would not hire that guy. You got to be able to say play twice in the Super Bowl. You can't let that happen.
Yeah,
can't let that happen.
That's bad. No, the Eagles are going to be good for years to come, though.
Oh,
they're going to be. They got a good squad, good coaching. So.
Hurts is everything you want as a quarterback. Talent-wise, absolutely, but leadership. I hate that I respect him so much because he's such a good leader.
I think he's the first Eagles quarterback that I've respected.
Yes.
I've hated every single Eagles quarterback that's come.
Vic was easy to hate.
McNabb was garbage. Yeah. Who else? Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
He's not. He's all right.
He was all right. Yeah. He was all right. I hate him because he was good.
Yeah.
For more than anything.
Yeah.
And his red hair.
But yeah, no, I like Hurts. He's going to be good for a while.
Yep. This is their last year to go all in before his contract kicks in the year after. So it's going to be a dogfight.
Hurts?
Yeah.
He just got paid.
Yeah, his contract extension will kick in next year. So this is the last year on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
So they still have a bunch of cap space to keep people around.
Dang.
So I expect the Eagles to be all in again and just know hey, this is the last year we can really go for this, and then we got to build around Hurts instead of building a team around him.
Their front office has been insane. That's the one thing that like I wish that we would do. Their aggressiveness the last couple of years. That's why they went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They got the like key defensive guys, added some guys on offense.
Dude, AJ Brown trade.
AJ Brown trade. They got him for nothing.
Nothing. Elite number one receiver.
I mean Darius Slay. I mean that was a while ago, but I forgot they got somebody else.
CJGJ from the New Orleans for nothing.
Yep.
For nothing.
He left, right?
I think
he went to
left.
the Lions, I think. But yeah, he was insane. He had a great year for them. He got paid. But yeah, man, I wish that we had that same type of urgency or aggressiveness in free agency. So it was nice that we actually did something this free agency.
It was nice. It was exciting. It was like, oh, we made a trade.
I know.
That never happened.
I was happy. Did you like the draft? Did you like our draft?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, mostly defense. I mean, that's our core. That's our team. Just keep building it up, and we'll find the pieces elsewhere on offense. I mean, I feel like they're mostly there. So, but did want to ask you real quick. I've asked everybody. I've asked Christina and Vasco.
Yeah.
You got a friend or a family member, coming to town in Dallas. The very first time. It's their only time ever they're going to be in Dallas. Where's one place you tell them they have to go eat?
It's a loaded question. Probably Whataburger. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was just kidding.
I mean, it's iconic, but
no.
One place?
No, you definitely should stop at Whata, but let me think restaurants. That's a
Christina
good question.
said like some Italian place. I forget what Vasco said.
Vasco probably said Zalat Pizza or like Lower Greenville Pizza Company or something.
Probably.
Yeah, that guy's a pizza fiend.
Yeah.
This is a sleeper, and I don't think that a lot of people know about this, but my favorite cuisine's like Thai food.
Ooh, okay.
And there's a really good spot called Malai Kitchen.
Malai?
Malai. Malai Kitchen. And it's fire. And I think I've been 2 or 3 times now, but I recently went, and it was, dude, it always hits. It's like, I feel like it's really good food. It's not too expensive. It's nice inside. So yeah, Malai Kitchen. That's also like the first restaurant that came to my mind.
You're just craving some Thai food right now.
Yeah. I'm kind of hungry. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, Malai Kitchen. Check it out. What is your answer? You've been here now for a little bit.
I mean, if I'm in Texas, I feel like you got to get brisket.
Ooh.
And I love Terry Black's.
You know, I've never been. And I've lived in Texas my whole life.
You and Vasco have never been.
Vasco's never been?
No.
Oh, shoot. No, yeah, Terry Black's is... I've heard insane things about it. Isn't it like right here?
It's literally right across from my apartment. It's so bad.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, we're closing one early. Catch you next time. No, but so Pecan Lodge is also right down the street, and those I guess are the 2 most famous barbecue places here, at least in Dallas and Texas area. And Terry Black's like meat, like all around, like the brisket, the pork, everything. I've had it all. It's phenomenal. It's so good.
Yeah.
And their sides are also better than Pecan Lodge, but Pecan Lodge has a smokiness, a little bit more smoky flavor to their meat, so it's different. I would recommend Terry Black's a little bit better, but Pecan Lodge's banana bread pudding
I'm a big fan of banana bread pudding.
It has to be the best banana pudding I've had. It's one of the best desserts I've ever had in my life.
At Pecan Lodge?
Yeah. It was so good, dude. It was insane. I was like, I could eat 17 of these right now.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in Texas, I feel like you got to get brisket somewhere.
Yeah.
Enjoy the barbecue. Because, I mean, I haven't really ate anywhere. I mean, some good Tex-Mex and things like that, but nothing that's really, like, number one you got to eat there.
Yeah,
so.
barbecue's always a must, I feel like, in Texas.
Can't go wrong with that.
No.
But, as we begin to wrap things up here, Cam, I always give people the opportunity to kind of, if there's anything you want to say or talk about real quick before we close this out, the floor is yours. If not.
Hey, putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
No, it's nice, man. First of all, appreciate you inviting me on. It's been a pleasure. I had like a little podcasting gig as well back in, when was this, 2019, 2020? I think it was like my freshman, sophomore year of college. And so it's nice just getting to, just kick it with you, one of my boys. Yeah, back on the set. And just being able to talk about, some serious things, some things that we just enjoy doing, like sports. But yeah, it's been a blast. I think just like the thing that came to my mind first was just love God, love people. You know, um, it's the two main commandments that God gives us, and something that I feel like we can, we hear it all the time, but really just applying that into our life of, loving God. He comes first in all things, and living a life that like honors Him, glorifies His name. And then secondly, love people as well. And so life's too short. There's a lot of separation in the world, and, just showing people that you care about them, love them, I think is what the world needs more of.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Absolutely. And
That's
using your talents that He's blessed you with, and your opportunities, and place that you are to spread His message and impact other people.
Exactly.
And that's all you really can do on a simple level, and that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think they actually said today, pastor said today, I was going to put this in our group chat, our community group chat. It's he said everybody will spend eternity somewhere. It's fire.
That hits.
Yeah. So, our mission, we're only here once.
Yeah.
We're only here on earth once. It's our job to spread the gospel.
Going off that, I'll close with this, but if anybody has like any doubts in their faith, I know I've had plenty of doubts throughout my walk with God. It's one thing to, just sit around and maybe be angry towards God or feel negatively about the way something happened in your life. But it's another thing to actually act on that doubt and to actually investigate it, Like, don't just be angry at God or be negative towards Him because of something that happened, but really do your research, whether that's reading scripture or even just doing a quick Google search about, maybe some history or some, maybe just some of the past of, what the Bible brings, what the Bible entails, some of those small details. And yeah, just actually acting on your doubts, exploring them, rather than just sitting in your sadness, your anger. But yeah, just doing that,
Well said. Well said, man. And reach out to maybe somebody like us, somebody
Absolutely.
that you know that might be walking in faith, or go to your local church, talk to a pastor. Everyone in this community is always welcoming, right? And wants to help other people find their path, right? And have their questions answered, because there's some hard questions out there.
Yeah.
When you start getting to the root of things, and especially the way society kind of frames some things in the religious context, right?
Yep.
It can be hard. So yeah, definitely want everybody to explore and find their peace, hopefully with God.
Absolutely.
So, with that, that'll kind of wrap things up today. Cam, really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing some wise words of wisdom, having this chat.
Yes,
we'll run it back when I get back to Dallas.
For sure. Part two coming soon.
Part two coming. So be sure to check out the show on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of that at Drafted Pages. And we look forward to seeing you next week.